to get into the NBA. There really isn't there are ways you shouldn't try, but there is no real clear path to jobs in sports. It is the demand is extraordinarily high. When I started, I was extraordinarily lucky to be in a situation where I wanted to be doing something that not a lot of other people did. And so there was not the same demand. I did not have the same competition initially that ultimately is there now and has been there for a while. I probably, if I had seen my resume while I was with the Celtics, if I'd seen my resume without my name on it, but just looking at what I had done and would have presented, I probably would not have hired me. And the reason for that is, and this is something that I think does apply to law students and lawyers. I don't think I would have hired a lawyer to do the job that I did when I started, and I started on an entry-level job. In sports, for the most part, job opportunities, with some rare exceptions, are entry-level. You have to pay your dues without a lot of probability, without a great probability that you're going to step up in the organization, or at least step up very quickly. So I would have looked at my resume and said, "Oh, he's a he's a lawyer. He's not going to be happy selling tickets. He's just not going to be happy doing that. I probably would move on to somebody else." And that's a little depressing when you look at it from that perspective. The thing, what I tell my students, which may not be applicable to our audience here, is that if you want to get an opportunity, the best way to do it is through an internship, where there is not a commitment by a team, where there isn't, in all probability, a financial requirement on their part, and you go in and you do the job, whatever it is. And so, a lot of teams, and I know the Celtics are this way, and this is the way it was when I was there, will only entertain internships that get course credit from colleges, so that they're
no volunteers.
No volunteers, no. In the end, what happened with us at the Celtics, and I think it's still to a greater or lesser degree applicable across the board, is that we often hired, as infrequently as job openings came about, we often hired out of our pool of interns who had been there in the last few years, because we had an opportunity to view these people in this context, in the field. It's almost like a tryout. And if in the end you get a job that way, chances are you're going to do well at it too, because you understand before you get in what's involved.
What do you think the most important skill set you brought to the table in achieving success with the Celtics was?
Nobody's ever asked me that before.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, I was in the right place at the right time for a lot of reasons. And one of the things that happened that worked for my benefit is something I told you about with Red. And then Red understood what he didn't know, and got people to do those jobs so that he was complete, and he was able to function and do what he did exceptionally well. I started selling season tickets. Within 5 months, I was thrown a legal issue on a Sunday afternoon because Red could not get a hold of the lawyer who was skiing, and in 1972 might as well have been on the moon. And we had a trade that we had to do and had to get done, and he resorted to me. And I quickly got on the phone, because without going into the details, it involved a contingent trade that if we didn't get it done that day, couldn't let the guy leave the building. It was during a game that was going on, and he was going to leave when the game was over. I ran downstairs. I called a couple of my buddies who had 6 months of law firm experience, and we talked it through. I cobbled together a contract, signed it. Ultimately, it was the trade that brought Paul Silas to Boston, and 2 championships. But it started me on a path that was wonderful for me, because I was now working in, although not that next day, but Red started giving me things to do. And what I look back on and realize is that in respect to sports law, nobody at that time knew anything more than I did. It was evolving right before my eyes, so I was very lucky. So I took advantage. I worked really hard. I was I was a detail person and ultimately forged a career for myself.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.